Dímelo mi gente, what up? It's your boy Gus from Gus Villa Jewelry. In this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how we make our diamond rings. Usually we can make them in any metal. This particular case, they're gonna be silver with lab diamonds. I'm gonna show you guys the entire process, how we print them out in 3D resin, how we cast them, finally set those stones in there and give it that final beautiful polish. Then we're gonna display them right here in these display cases where you yourself can come down to Miami, shake our hands, and either buy it here or buy it online. They are gonna be available on our website at gusvillajewelry.com. So without further ado, hit me with the intro music, damn it.
Gus Villa Jewelry.
This is called the casting process. So once we've printed out whatever rings we want, we print them out in what's called 3D resin. This resin is essentially a soft wax. We start the process very simple. Think of it as a casting tree. That's ultimately what it's called as well. We have this thing here. This has very, very hot wax. We've pumped it into one of these straws. I know it all looks pretty primitive, but it's what works. And we've pumped it up with wax. This is gonna be the base of our tree. Once we push the wax out, you get the actual stump itself. And then we begin to put the actual rings onto the stump. We're gonna put almost tree branches. We grab the little wax and we attach it, melting that wax onto the 3D resin. This here, what you guys are seeing, takes a lot of patience, a lot of time, and most of all, experience. It's the beauty of casting. Once we have our little tree branches attached to our 3D resin, we're gonna attach them onto the tree stump. So what we do is we use that hot gun, bring in the pieces, and very carefully melt the wax onto the tree stump and attach it as one giant casting tree. Once our tree stumps are done, we're gonna slowly and very methodically add them onto one of these casting cylinders. Afterwards, we're gonna put a metallic casting cylinder over it and fill it up with investment, and we should be ready to go. this process here is the investment and how we make it. As you saw earlier, we moved the powder into the scale, we measure it a certain amount, and then we add some water. We mix that bad boy up, and it almost creates like this batter kind of material. Once that's done, we add it into our casting chamber, and we're gonna remove all the air on it. This here is a vacuum. What it's doing is just sucking out all the air and leaving it, technically speaking, hermetically sealed. But of course, what we're really trying to do is just move out any of the air pockets inside so that when we put it into our cylinder, there's absolutely nothing but resin and the actual investment itself. Once the investment has been put into the casting cylinder, we put it into the vacuum, about 2 minutes. It sucks out all the air, and what you're left with is a cylinder with perfectly set investment and resin. That resin is ultimately going to be put into one of these ovens once it's completely dried. It's going to reach a certain temperature and burn that resin off. What you're left with is a perfect vacuum where the resin used to be in. Once that cylinder has reached temperature, we now put it into the casting chamber. This uses centrifugal force, so once we have that metal nice and hot to where it's glowing red and in actual liquid form, we release it, and with centrifugal force, it shoots that gold into that cylinder and fills that void that we did while burning off that wax. So once that cylinder has cooled down, we're gonna dip it into this water. This water is gonna essentially disintegrate the investment, and what is hopefully left is a perfect casting, which we're gonna see right here. This is, guys, the moment of truth. All the prongs are perfectly set. It is a beautiful, beautiful casting. We got lucky. Well, when you're good, it's not luck. So now that the casting is done, here comes, in my opinion, probably the most important part. This is called the pre-polish. First things first, we remove the rings from the casting tree and throw them in the tumbler. The tumbler is going to clean out any of those imperfections. Then we're going to remove them from the tumbler, and with the Dremel, pre-fill all those holes and make it perfectly ready to insert the actual diamonds themselves. preset diamond setting is actually pretty straightforward. Since the hole has already been made and the prongs have been already made as well, what you do is make sure that the hole is clean, pop the diamond in there, and then you close the prongs. Now that we set the diamonds, comes the most beautiful part, where it becomes kind of rough silver, looking all ugly, to the beauty of jewelry, which of course is the shininess. This part is called the buffing. There's two stages. The first part, we put heavy paste, and it removes all the imperfections. The last part, which is what you're seeing right here, is with the white buffing pad, which is really fine, and that brings out the shine. So this process here is the final step to any single silver ring that we're going to be selling. It's called the rhodium dip. Now rhodium is something that's going to protect the silver, in this case give it some sort of coating so that it doesn't oxidize, otherwise known as tarnishing. To kind of give you an example of how much rhodium costs, the ounce of gold is right around 2,300 and the pure ounce of rhodium is almost double that. So it's a very expensive process. And we're going to be doing it on all the rings so that it can come out beautiful. Now the benefits, of course, no tarnish, and the fact that it leaves it perfectly white. And there you have it, beautifully silver rings dipped in rhodium
with lab diamonds. I'm so happy how these came out, and they're available on our website at gusvillajewelry.com. Of course, if you guys have any sort of project, any sort of idea, we are here to make it come to life. If you guys have custom rings, wedding rings, pendants, earrings, it doesn't matter. We could do it all. We make these videos to show you guys the true beauty of making jewelry by hand, making it from scratch. I'm so happy to be making these kind of videos because it truly breaks that wall between the consumer and the people who actually make it. And you guys maybe can appreciate it just that little bit more. Anyway, guys, visit gusvillajewelry.com. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Holla.